Now, when that happens, then it's a hot summer day in the other neighborhood also. It was able to handle the demand for power in the other neighborhood, but you're adding this neighborhood also, so that one also goes down. And then another one kicks in until, like, the whole Northwest United States is in darkness, for 9. This happened about 15 years ago. For 9 or 10 hours, New York was totally dark, okay? And elevators stopped, and 9 months later, a lot of babies were born. It's this domino effect, yes, and that could be regulated against. One could regulate against that. That you could say, you know what, you take any risks you want. You lend money to whoever you think fit to lend the money to, okay? But you can't sell the risk. You're not allowed to sell it. You have to have firewalls, okay? You take your risks, but you take them yourself. Another thing with the CDS, is another thing that's wrong with it, is that when you insure a risk, you are less careful with it, right? If your car is insured against theft, then you're much more likely to leave the key in the car than if it's not insured against theft, right? This is called moral hazard, and so insuring against credit default makes you less careful about who you give credit to. So that's another bad thing about it. So I think one can regulate against entanglement.
Unfortunately, we have time for only 2 questions. What is your opinion about the future of the global economy in the near future and the dollar? And what are the main challenges that you see about the global behavior?
Well, I think the future is looking good. Like a year ago, most people were talking about the crisis. Yes, that was the word that you heard most often. Nowadays, what you hear most often is recovery. That's a good sign. I think it's a good thing that people are talking about recovery, because when you talk about recovery, it's what makes it happen. And when you talk about crisis, that's what makes it happen, yes? That's because people, we're talking about people, we're talking about investors. So if the outlook looks good, then that is what, it's not only that, but that is what makes it be good. And I think the basics of the world economy they look sound, yes. I mean, what brought about the crisis was the subprime fiasco, and I think that's not such a basic thing. Yes, the basics of the world economy look good. I'm a great believer in globalization, because in turning the whole world into one market economy, unfettered market economy, this is good for everybody. So, and we are globalized, we are making great strides towards globalization, and I think the outlook looks good. I would start buying, cautiously, but I would start buying, yeah.
How about the dollar?
Huh?
How about the dollar, the US dollar?
How about the US? You read this morning's paper, I see. Okay, I think because of the bailouts, yes, the money that was spent on the bailouts has to be somehow made up, yes. Somehow the money has to come from someplace. Imposing additional taxes, I think, is probably not the way that Mr. Obama will want to go. You might want to do a little of that, but I don't think you get nearly enough revenue to pay for the bailouts that way. So the way to go is basically to print money. And then you can return the treasuries. You can return your debt with cheaper money. You print money. What's going to happen when you print money is that the dollar, you cause inflation, the dollar goes down vis-a-vis other currencies. I can only repeat what I said yesterday. I don't think the outlook for the US dollar is very good.
Well, a final question about Argentina. The Argentine authorities believe that the crisis has produced a big structural change. In very few words, they think that it's going to be more state and less markets. What will be that the structural thing that we have happened is increasing role of government. More government, less markets.
More government and less market.
More government and less what?
Yes. Less markets.
Oh, well, I'm against it, yes. I mean, that's... it's overreacting. I think the markets are... it's exactly what I said at the beginning of my remarks, and that is throwing out the baby with the bathwater, going back to socialist economy. The idea of socialism, the idea of government-run economies, is an idea that was the great experiment of the 20th century, and it failed. It really failed totally. And the world, thank God, has learned that that is not the way to go. And I think we're coming out of it, and I don't think the Argentinian government wants to go to a socialist economy, but the moment you go to more government control, you're going in that direction. It's a bad direction to go.
Thank you, Professor.